This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome back to the Special Chronicles Podcast. I'm your host and founder, Daniel Smrokowski, and I'm grateful to have you joining us. This week, we're bringing you a meaningful encore episode originally recorded in June 2023 during the Special Olympics World Games in Berlin. It features a timely and insightful conversation with Sven Albrecht, the new regional president of Special Olympics Europe, Eurasia. In this episode, Sven shares his perspective on global leadership, the future of the Special Olympics movement, and the lasting impact of Berlin 2023. Whether you're a longtime supporter or new to our community, this conversation offers a powerful look at where we've been and where we're headed. For full show notes, to stream more episodes on demand, and to subscribe to the Special Chronicles podcast, visit specialchronicles.com. You can listen anytime, anywhere on your favorite podcast apps. Let's dive in.
This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome to the Special Chronicles show. My name is Daniel Smrokowski, and I am the founder of Special Chronicles and the Special Olympics Southern Tribal International Global Messenger. Our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream archives of over 750 episodes absolutely for free. And to follow Special Chronicles on social media, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to your podcast. A brief programming note. This episode is airing on the 19th of June, and the world's largest inclusive sports event, Special Olympics World Games Berlin 2023, officially opened on the 17th of June, and currently this week is taking place this week as 7,000 athletes from 190 delegations and 20,000 volunteers will show the world how we're unbeatable together for 9 days full of sports and emotions. Berlin2023.org. That's Berlin2023.org to follow the journey of thousands of athletes with intellectual disabilities like myself. And this week on the Special Chronicles podcast and our Road to Berlin series, our guest is Berlin 2023 CEO Sven from the local organizing committee of the world's largest inclusive sports event, Special Olympics World Games. And please put your virtual hands together as we welcome Sven to this Special Chronicles show. Welcome. Welcome. Good to have you on the show, and monthly leading up to the games. We've had different athletes on, and now in June we have weekly episodes that is all about this big event. And so can you introduce yourself to our listeners and tell us how you both got involved in our Special Olympics movement, and then how you became CEO of the World Games in Berlin?
Yes, of course, Daniel. First of all, I'm really glad to be your guest today. And yes, I have a long Special Olympics journey behind me. So I have started over 20 years ago as a coach, especially for aquatics. And Then I have started to work for national games. The first national games for me has been 2003 in Hamburg. So also really big national games in Hamburg. And after this, I worked for more or less 2 years in the sub-programs in the northern part of Germany. In 2009, I have started to work directly for Special Olympics Germany as event and sports director, and since 2010 as national director. And for us, it's really important to host these games, but it's also really important that they are in close connection with Special Olympics Germany. And that's the reason why I'm also the CEO of the Special Olympics World Games Berlin 23, but also in the function as the national director by ESO Germany. And I had the pleasure to join a lot of World Games in the past. And now it's, of course, really special to be the host.
Awesome. I know when at the last World Games, myself, and then I don't know if you know another SSI GM, Ian Halpo, he's in Great Britain, but we were actually both at the Berlin reception in Abu Dhabi. But a fun connection that we share. So I've been competing in Special Olympics for I think probably about over 20 years now, and right now I currently do basketball. But the sport that I started with is aquatics. So it's neat that we both kind of share that swimming. So we're going to go ahead and take a short break, and then we're going to dive right into the World Games.
Absolutely.
Because as you know, with the World Games, just like with this podcast, if it wasn't for our listeners and supporters, then we wouldn't be able to get behind the microphone. So we'll be right back right here with the CEO of the World Games on specialchronicles.com.
Support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. As an independent public media podcast, Special Chronicles will always be there for you. Now we're asking you to be there for us. As a nonprofit independent media organization, we can only make programs like Special Chronicles with listener support. Our programs provide weekly, candid, honest, and inspiring conversations about the people with disabilities community that creates awareness, support, and advocacy within each week's episode. Listeners tell us our shows are an enjoyable and necessary podcast for the intellectual and developmental disability community and everyone else who is able to listen to stories about life from a different angle. Please, if you and your family love our weekly podcasts, make a one-time, monthly, or annual gift of thanks today. Support this podcast at specialchronicles.com/give. That's specialchronicles.com/give.
The guest on the Special Chronicles show is Sven, the CEO of the Berlin 2023 World Games, the Special Olympics. And can you share with us how Berlin? I did a podcast with Special Olympics International's Chief of Sport and Competition, Lou, as well as Phil, SSI GM Ian, last October. And we did a podcast on kind of from Special Olympics International's perspective on how Berlin came to host the games. But can you share with us from your perspective how Berlin, Germany came to host the Special Olympics World Games?
So, Daniel, first of all, I think it is always really important for us to underline that not only Berlin is the host of the Special Olympics World Games Berlin 23. As you know, the host town program is a really important part, and it's also the heart of our games, to be honest, because we have achieved that all federal states in Germany, all 16 federal states, will be a host for Special Olympics delegation. Over 216 communities are involved, and that's also a little bit what is our aim with the games in Berlin, to increase the life situation, to change communities, to become more inclusive. And this should be all led by our athletes. And therefore, it was for us really important to host the first games from athletes for athletes. This was the power of our athletes. And therefore, once again, of course, the focus will be in Berlin, but we are really proud that the whole country will be involved. And at the end, these games should stand for self-determination of our athletes.
Awesome. I love that, and we'll come back to that in a moment about how these games are by athletes and for athletes, and because I want to kind of jump back to the preparations that you and the LLC, you and the local organizing committee are making. I know as I was one of the athletes that was on the team that named the mascot Unity, and then I was also one of the SSI GMs on the committee to give feedback about the mobile app. So can you talk to us about the preparations that you and the LLC are doing to host the world's largest inclusive sports event?
Yeah, so of course it's a long journey for us because we have started more or less 4 years ago. And of course, it was the first highlight last year to host also the national games in Berlin as pre-games for the World Games. But as you can imagine, it was a really intensive time over the last 4 years. We have so many different divisions. If we are talking about marketing, communication, of course, preparing the sport, the 26 sports, to offer a great healthy athlete. We have more than 16,000 volunteers involved. And of course, we would like to educate them really great. We offer a lot of congresses, all the operational questions like accommodation, transportation. There are so many questions. And of course, it's now like a big puzzle to bring all pieces together that hopefully it will be great games for the athletes and all delegation and participants. But to be honest, it was also a really challenging time because, the COVID situation, the inflation, and that has also a big impact on our organizational topics, also on the budget topics. But now we are really happy to deliver these great games, and we are absolutely convinced that the preparation time we have done well, and always with the focus on the needs of our athletes.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. I'm based here in the U.S., and I know, I'm sure probably the same is true for a lot of delegations. We have a lot of less. We're sending a lot of. We're sending fewer athletes to these World Games than in past. So in preparing for our podcast interview today, I looked up on your website that we'll have 7,000 athletes, 190 delegations, 20,000 volunteers, and 9 days of competition and events. Can you tell us, as you mentioned that with the COVID pandemic and the economy, can you tell us how you're able to get everyone to come together on the global stage again as we're coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic? Because I know the past couple of years we've had a couple. I think the last big event got canceled, and so now this is really, these World Games is the first. I would say, one of the first global world games coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. So can you kind of share what you guys are doing, like how you're able to kind of bring people back together?
Yes, I think this is, Daniel, at the end, a work which we are doing in close cooperation with all national programs over the world, of course, with Special Olympics International. But I think the games in Berlin are really important just to give a global signal that, first of all, our athletes are back. And I think at the end, the games help always to raise awareness and also to make our athletes, but also the needs visible. And I think the impact in the daily life is still so high. And hopefully these games can help to raise awareness on a global scale that we have invest more and more because also before the COVID situation, a lot of people with intellectual disabilities had no chance to participate in sport, in school, education, and so on. And I think because of the impact of COVID, the barrier is much higher than before COVID. And therefore, once again, I think Berlin can give a clear signal. Berlin can help to raise awareness. We are well prepared also in case of the COVID situation. But at the end, it's a task of all governments all over the world, together with our national programs, to work, to bring people with intellectual disabilities back to sport and also, back into inclusion.
Awesome. And as you know, you've attended, just like I've attended previous World Games in the past, and with every World Games, there's a legacy that comes that you and your national program hope to kind of leave with these World Games. And so I guess kind of tied with the game slogan, unbeatable together, can you share with us how you guys came up with this hashtag and slogan, unbeatable together, and the meaning of it as it relates to the World Games Berlin 2023 legacy?
So, and Daniel, we are really proud of it because if we take a look into the logo, the corporate identity, as you said, unbeatable together, it's all developed by athletes. It's not developed by us as only a local organizing committee. We had a lot of working groups with different athletes from all over the world and asked them, what is your feeling if you take part in a competition? As we are talking about passion. We are talking about unified, about togetherness, to be proud, to be seen. All these attributes have been developed by our athletes, and also the colors. And at the end, we have take the ideas of the athletes to develop our logo. You can see the heart, of course, also symbols of Berlin. But if we are talking about the slogan, unbeatable together, it's developed by our athletes and it's based on their feeling about Special Olympics. And I think at the end, if we take a look into our values as a Special Olympics movement, but also the values which we would like to fulfill during the games, then it's always to connect people, to be strong together, and to work together to change something. And if we help each other, then we will be unbeatable. And therefore, it's a result of our athletes, and we are absolutely convinced that it's a perfect slogan and a perfect corporate identity and a new benchmark, not only for Special Olympics because it's developed by athletes, it's also a benchmark for other sport events because it's 100% athlete driven.
Awesome. I love that. And I love I think on like right on near the front page of the website for the World Games, that national athlete spokesperson and vice president for Germany says that these are the games by athletes for athletes, like what you just talked about. And as many of our listeners know, or soon when hopefully a lot of our listeners will come and get involved with these World Games, they'll know that our Special Olympics movement is becoming athlete-centric, that instead of an organization for us, it's now led by us, Special Olympics athletes. So I guess with that in mind, can you talk to us a little bit more about, you mentioned previously some of the ways, but can you tell us a little bit more and maybe give an example of an athlete or two of the focus of athlete involvement and tell us about your favorite memories of working with athletes, because our athlete leadership program is pretty important in this movement. But can you whether it's like a few of us global athletes were involved with naming the mascot Unity. A few of us, we view the mobile app, designing the logo for the World Games. Can you kind of give us maybe an example or two of an athlete or two of their involvement?
Yeah, the good thing, Daniel, is that it's not so easy to give one example, because at the end it's a general approach of the total games, and it has started before hosting the event. Also during the bidding process, we had a working group. We have a athlete working group. We had national conferences where we have invited a lot of athletes and asked, what do you want to achieve with World Games? What is your dream? What is your vision for the games? And now, it's in all areas of the event. Of course, people with disabilities, with intellectual disabilities are completely involved. It's as employee in our local organizing committee. It is as volunteers during the games. We have for all areas working groups. For example, for the opening and closing ceremony. Of course, also athletes are involved in the working groups and just give their vision of the opening ceremony and their wishes. And of course, also we have asked the German athletes, what do you want to be a good host for all the global athletes in our country? And therefore, we have a monthly webinar. It's open for all athletes in Germany, where we give an overview about our planning, ask for feedback. For example, we have a special working group for Assess for All and a barrier-free event, also in public transportation. And Daniel, I can give you so much more examples, but I think if someone asks me always, what is your special experience? Then I often say, I'm a lucky guy because there's not only one special moment. I have in all areas of the event every day a great experience with our athletes. And once again, they are such an important part of organizing this event to be a great host. And as you said, this should be not only by Special Olympics the future, that the organization are led by people with intellectual disabilities we can support, but at the end it's our task to help to fulfill the vision. And I think this is unique by the Games in Berlin.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. On behalf of the over 6 million athletes globally, thank you for getting the input from us athletes and for working with us and making, because in the end, I think that also kind of, I think, probably ties with the legacy of the games, that you're showing that it's not just, you're not just creating these World Games for us, but it's more with us. And yeah, I'm sure future national programs and others are going to will probably be looking to you and your program as a excellent example of what it is to create a games by and for us athletes. We're going to go take another break. When we come back, we'll get into a little bit more about some of the sports and congresses. And did you want to comment on? Yeah. So,
correct.
Yeah, perfect. So we'll be right back right here on specialchronicles.com. Support for Special Chronicles comes from ComEd. Special Chronicles is proud to partner with the ComEd Energy Force Ambassador Program. The Energy Force is the country's first energy efficiency education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. ComEd is powering lives and really is powering us here at Special Chronicles to keep the lights on and our technology is powered on. As ComEd powers the lives of us, they are literally giving a voice to people with special needs. We thank ComEd for the generous support of our mission at Special Chronicles. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. That's specialchronicles.com/ComEd. Support for Special Chronicles comes from United Airlines Bridge Disability Business Resource Group. Special Chronicles is proud to partner with United Airlines and the Bridge BLG. Bridge BLG is committed to being an ally for all employees and customers with disabilities. Bridge helps to create internal awareness to keep accessibility needs in mind and partner with key organizations to empower disability inclusion for employment and travel. Bridge, connecting people of all abilities. Book your travel today on United.com or on the award-winning United app. Learn more on United's commitment to disability inclusion for employment and travel at specialchronicles.com/United. That's specialchronicles.com/United. Our guest this week on the Special Chronicles show is Sven, the CEO of the 2023 Berlin Special Olympics World Games. And you mentioned in the first segment about that the ROC is hosting these World Games along with the host towns. Can you tell us a little bit more about an overview of what the host town program is for? I'm sure some of our listeners might know, but I'm sure we've got a lot of listeners that this is their first introduction to the World Games by tuning in to this podcast. So can you share with us why the host town is important and kind of a little bit more about what the host town program is?
Yes, so it's a general program by Special Olympics that the delegation, before they are coming to the host city, that they have a 4-day host town around the host city. We have involved our whole country, so Germany in total, with all federal states are host. And it's a great experience, of course, for the delegation just to arrive, to have first trainings, but also to learn about the culture, to have the possibility to acclimate in Germany. But it's also a great approach, of course, to involve these host cities, host towns in the organization. So it's a win-win situation for the athletes, but also for the host towns. But for us, as a Germany, it was important to go one step further. And we had an application system, and we had over 300 communities who has applied. And we asked not to become only a host town and to prepare 4 days for the delegation. You should join the largest inclusive community project in Germany. And therefore, every community has developed an inclusive idea for their community, which they are doing in combination with the host town. And therefore, it's first of all to be a great host for the delegation, that they have the chance to acclimate and to learn about our culture. But for the future, it's the most important legacy approach for us as a Germany, because these 216 communities are now a part of the Special Olympics movement, and they are working together with us to make the communities more inclusive, that in the future it will be more normal that our athletes can take part in sport. So absolutely, as I said, win-win situation for all.
Awesome. And after the host town takes place, the law enforcement torch run will be taking place through the streets in Germany and then in Berlin. And the week before this episode airs, our listeners will hear there's two people from my local law enforcement torch run in my program in Illinois in Chicago, where Special Olympics got started 55 years ago. But so those two people that my from my local program that I got that will be on the week before this episode airs, and we go a little bit more in depth about the torch run. So I'll point our listeners, if you want to hear more about the torch run, then go listen to the last episode. But can you kind of give from your perspective, because as we know the torch run, and we went in with the Special Olympics Flame of Hope through the streets and then into the opening ceremony. Can you tell us a little bit about the torch run and kind of from your perspective of what you hope? Because one thing that they said was that this is the first time that the torch run is getting athlete involvement, where they're going to have athletes running with the law enforcement, and that ties in with what you talked about, athlete involvement. It's all in all parts of the games. But can you tell us from your perspective about of how you guys are going to be working with the law enforcement torch run?
Yeah, as you said, it's an absolutely highlight, of course, and it's and the Flame of Hope will be helping us also to raise awareness, and we have been more than lucky and really thankful that our colleagues from LATR have been also so open, because as you said, Daniel, for us it's important that these games are games driven by athletes. And of course, athletes should involved in all areas, and carrying the torch, of course, it's an absolutely highlight for everyone. And therefore, we are really happy to have the torch run in Berlin, in Brandenburg. This will absolutely a highlight during the games. But it's also great for us that, our approach with athletes are also now a part, or more, maybe it was also in the past a part, but that's now for one step further, and hopefully it will be maybe the new standard also for the future. And we are also really happy together with LATR to have developed a concept that also in the host towns all over Germany, they will organize a special day, an inclusive day, and also working with the Flame of Hope. So it's a great engagement on national level, but also in the communities. And as you said, it's great that our athletes are also in a key position by the torch run.
Awesome. And the next, so from the time if our listeners are hearing this live, then it would have happened 2 days ago. But of course, with podcasts, people can listen on demand anytime and anywhere. But the opening ceremony is taking place on the 17th of June. ESPN and at least in the U.S. on ABC and I'm sure other networks, but we'll be broadcasting the opening ceremony. I know all 10 of us, Southern Shriver International and Global Messengers, will be on stage behind our chairman, Tim Shriver, during the opening ceremony. But can you tell us, kind of give us an overview of what the opening ceremony is going to take of what's going to take place during the opening ceremony, and since we're just pre-recording this, people will hear this after the World Game, so we don't have to worry about giving any. We don't have to worry about anything getting leaked out because people are listening are not going to hear this until after it takes place. So can you tell us kind of about what's going to take place during the opening ceremony?
Of course, Daniel. And as once again, for us, it was important to give a clear signal with the opening ceremony. Therefore, it's also athlete-driven. It's focused on a new unified generation. It's also, of course, to showcase the people from all over the world what Berlin and Germany is standing for. So we would like to present us as a great host. Therefore, there will be also one show part about the history of Germany and Berlin and what is our values now in a city like Berlin. Of course, the absolutely highlight is always the parade of all athletes. I think for them it's a unique experience. Therefore, it's also an absolutely focus. The flame, we have a new approach that all delegation will bring water from their countries because, the water is the connection between the different people all over the world. Therefore, this is also an important part of the games. We have some highlights, of course, with Metcon, our game song. We have an artist like Birdie, who will bring a really special atmosphere to the stadium. Of course, at the end with a great firework, because this was also a wish of our athletes to include it. But once again, our vision is that everyone understands after the opening ceremony what the games in Berlin are standing for, and this is athletes driven and of course our unified approach, and it should be a colorful celebration that we are back, that the global world is in Berlin as a guest. This is really special, and therefore it's also one show part. It calls One World, and that's all about inclusion and also understanding for different cultures, and that we are all live in one world, and we should be supportive, especially in these times. And there will be one athlete with intellectual disabilities who talk about his vision for one world and more acceptance for people with intellectual disabilities. Awesome. But in total, Berlin is also a party city with a lot of music and a lot of nations, and therefore it's also for us important to have a great party in the stadium.
Awesome! I love that one word, and that of how you're developing the opening ceremonies, and a big. It seems like it'll be a big celebration of inclusion. And you mentioned the official song "Are You Ready" by Madcon, and hopefully is it okay if we just play just a few seconds of a clip of the song? I'll put a link in the show notes on specialchronicles.com if people want to go listen on Spotify. But I know in listening to it, I'm excited to see it live during the opening ceremony. But I'll play just a clip of it.
I know I can do anything you do, but I gotta work harder.
So, can you tell us how you got connected with Madcon and the importance of what the song is? Because it seems like, in listening to it from my perspective as a Special Olympics athlete, that a lot of it has to do with what us athletes like, the way we live and like our challenges and our accomplishments, and what it seems like it was written for us. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got connected with MadCon and the importance of what this song is?
Yes, Danny, you're absolutely right, and we have a great connection with Warner Music, and this was our first contact point, and they have developed with us an approach to get in touch with different artists, and MadCon was from the beginning on really open, motivated, and always with a smile on their faces, and say this is also a great honor for them to have a song or the game song for the World Games. So they are, together with Warner, absolutely perfect partners on our side. And as you said, of course, we had to talk to MadCon and said, these games, we would like to set our athletes in the center. What is their needs? What is their feelings? Once again, the same like by the mascot, by the logo, and I think they have understood completely what is our vision and mission, or what is the vision and mission of our athletes, and therefore the song is all about a special moment. Are you ready? That we are fighting, that we are standing together, unified, inclusive. But also how strong our athletes are, and that they are also strong, of course, to handle all the challenges sometimes in the daily life. And therefore, for us, it's a really great song and a great mix from party, music, fun, but also with a clear message. And the message is our athletes are ready, our athletes are strong, and let's stay together and be one. Be unified. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I love that. I love the upbeat message, and I'm sure the opening ceremony is going to be a big inclusive dance party. I'm sure as that hopefully.
That's our wish and aim.
So moving on, as we know, all fans in the stands is a big part of it. It's not just, we're not just competing for ourselves, but like to have, whether it's our family in the stands, friends in the stands, supporters in the stands. Can you tell us a little bit about the fans in the stands, and how if people are listening to this, this week, the week of the 19th of June, and hopefully when this episode goes live, we can share this on social media so more people can hear our conversation. But can you share with us how our listeners can get involved and come to the events? Because I think I saw some events have tickets, some are free. Can you kind of show how our listeners can get involved with the fans in the stands?
Yes, of course. Our focus was with the Fans in the Stands program, of course, on sport clubs, because there are a lot of sport clubs. This is a little bit special in our country because our sport offers and our system is a little bit different, for example, like in the United States, but the sport clubs are the heart of all sport activities in our country. And of course, students and schools, universities. And we are really happy that the actual status is that 25,000 students will join the competition. And of course, we have also, I think it's the first time during World Games, a mix between free entrants, of course, especially all the city offers. If you're talking about basketball, it's directly in the city center of Berlin. Also beach volleyball, cycling, but also like sailing or canoeing. So there's also a great offer completely for free. For example, also the Special Olympics Festival. But on the other hand, we have also the clear vision that, of course, our event has a value, and therefore the value are our athletes and the competition. And therefore, there are also some events with ticketing, like the opening ceremony, like the main venues like Messe and Olympia Park. So once again, it's a good balance in our opinion between ticketing, free access and the Fans at the Stands program, hopefully to engage a lot of people to join the competition and the non-sports events, and to be a great host for the athletes all over the world.
Awesome. And moving, okay, I got two more kind of final topics for the segment before we get to our final thoughts as we wrap up. But as you know, Special Olympics is the world's largest health program for those of us people with intellectual disabilities. Can you and actually at our last year at our USA National Games, I went through our healthy athletes and actually got these glasses I'm wearing right now. I actually got through our healthy athletes programs, and so I know firsthand the impact of our healthy athletes, and as I'm sure a lot of other athletes know. Can you give us an overview of the healthy athletes and why this is so important to continue to offer these during the World Games?
Yeah, healthy athletes, it's not only important for us to offer during World Games, it's also really important program which is well developed in our country, because it's so necessary to increase the health situation of people with intellectual disabilities. We will offer during the World Games all disciplines. We are really proud, and I think it is a really important offer for the athletes from all delegations. And at the end, we always underline as a Germany, first of all, it's also, of course, to educate also our athletes how to live healthy, how to be what is a healthy lifestyle. But it's also so important that employees in the field of health, learn about the special needs of our athletes, how to communicate, how to talk, and therefore I think it's my personal opinion is always when we offer national games. Next to the competition, if there's any guest, I talk about healthy athletes, and I think it's always a moment that external who haven't been involved until this stage with Special Olympics understands that it's much more than a sport organization, that it's that we are using sport for the different fields, and health is so important. And once again, it's a best practice. How to support our athletes, but also how to educate the environment to be prepared and to become more inclusive.
Awesome. I love that. And to wrap up this segment before we get to some final thoughts as we wrap up our time together, can you give an overview of a few of the congresses that will be taking place? The Global Athlete Congress, the Global Youth Leadership Summit, and then finally the Global Forum for Inclusion, in which at the Global Forum for Inclusion, I'll be along with another SSIGM from Brazil. We are planning and co-moderating a session about athlete leadership in the communities. And so I'm excited to be planning and co-moderating a session at the Global Forum for Inclusion. So can you tell us about these congresses and why? Because I think this is one of the first time that we're having three congresses taking place the same week as the World Games. So can you tell us why you felt it important to have these three congresses kind of to align and take place the same week of the World Games?
Yeah. So, first of all, once again, if we are talking about the Global Athlete Congress, Daniel, it's all about self-determination. And we had the discussion for some minutes that our organization should be led more by athletes. And therefore, it was for us together with SOI really important to host a Global Athlete Congress to discuss the vision from athletes from all over the world. It's once again, in my opinion, an important step to become an organization not from athletes. Secondly, the Global Youth Summit, it's always a part of Special Olympics World Games. We are really happy to welcome unified youth teams from all continents to discuss how in society become more inclusive and how they can develop concept which they are working on if they are going back to their countries, and to help that their communities will be more inclusive. And in the past, often there was also a policy event, and in our opinion, there was always a gap that the political stakeholders and decision makers are not in direct contact with our athletes and with the youth. And therefore, we have designed a global forum with 3 main topics: inclusive education, inclusive community, and international cooperation. And our approach is that political stakeholders, but also leaders in the field of non-sport, non-profit organization, of sport federations, and so on, are in a direct contact with our athletes and with our youth participants, and to discuss how can we act that inclusive education, inclusive communities become reality. And so it's the first time that we are not talking about athletes and the new generation, that we are talking together with our athletes and the unified generation, and hopefully to help to shape a more inclusive world. And for us, it's really important that it's not only talking, that it's coming concrete. Therefore, also a lot of breakout sessions that hopefully the representatives from the different countries get some tools how they can work in their countries to implement the UN Convention for people with disabilities.
Awesome, I love that. And before we get to the final break with our final segment, but I want to touch on one thing that you said with the Global Forum for Inclusion. One thing is I know in human that I think it's the second day of the Global Forum for Inclusion. I don't have the schedule in front of me right now, but there's going to be a Berlin proclamation that I believe our chairman Tim Shriver and a bunch of the leaders will be taking place.
Yeah.
And since this episode is airing on the 19th of June, so I think it'll be this episode is airing a few days after that is going to be taking place. But can you share with our listeners just briefly? We don't have a lot of time left, but just kind of briefly what the Berlin Proclamation is going to be.
Yeah. So, the Berlin Declaration will be a commitment by different nations, political stakeholders, but also from athletes, from the youth unified generation, but also leaders from sport, from organization for people with disabilities, that they give their commitment to work to implement the UN Convention globally, with the focus topic inclusive education, inclusive communities. Inclusive communities means that we develop more sport offer and competition for people with intellectual disabilities, that we offer more unified sports. That's the focus topics. And the last topic is that nations are working closer together to implement also inclusion, for example, by 8 agencies. So therefore, the international cooperation is also really important. So to make it concrete, it's a commitment of all partners we need to make our world more inclusive, with the 3 main topics: inclusive education, inclusive communities, and international development work.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I know. I think one thing that stood out when I heard about it is the 3% of go to inclusive education, which is pretty powerful. We're going to take one final break.
Yeah.
You can go ahead.
No, it's fine. It's fine, Daniel. Go.
Okay, awesome. Okay, we're going to take one final break. We'll get to some final thoughts as we wrap up. Special Chronicles is hosted by Podbean Podcast Hosting, the easiest, most affordable option to get started in podcasting. At Special Chronicles, we proudly host our weekly podcast with Podbean and highly recommend you use Podbean Podcast Hosting to get started in podcasting today. Sign up for an unlimited hosting plan and get 1 month free now to get started in podcasting today when you visit specialchronicles.com/Podbean. That's specialchronicles.com/Podbean. Our live streams are powered by StreamYard, the easiest way to create professional live streams. StreamYard is a live streaming studio in your browser. Interview guests, share your screen, and much more. Stream directly to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and other platforms. Sign up for StreamYard today using our StreamYard referral link when you visit specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. That's specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. Our guest is Sven, the CEO of the Special Olympics World Games, Berlin 2023. And you can probably tell I've got the official song saved on my Spotify. But can you share with us, Sven? It's been a joy having you on for the past 54 minutes, past hour of this episode. And so before we wrap up with the final question, can you share final thoughts on your overall time here today on the Special Chronicles show?
Yeah, Daniel, it was a really great experience for me, and it was a great exchange talking to you. And I think it's once again the best example why it's so important that our organization is driven by the athletes. And I'm more than happy that, you agree with a lot of our approaches and about the involvement of our athletes. So it makes us really proud. And it was a great honor to be your guest today.
Awesome. Thank you. And for our listeners, if they want to get involved this week that they hear this, the 17th to the 25th of June, can you share with us? I'll put it on the screen, but for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, can you share kind of in where people can go to get more information, as well as any hashtags and where they can get involved? Can you share with
So Daniel, sorry, the connection was not so good.
Sorry. Can you share where our listeners can get more involved in this week, the 17th to the 25th of June?
Yes, of course. So, the best tool, of course, it's always our website. You can see here berlin2023.org. We will have an event app. You find also all information on our website. This will be the most important tool during the games times. So you get an overview, which competition will be at which time, at which venue, which side events are we organizing, how do I get on the best way to the venue. But also, we have a really good offer in regards of live streaming of the event, because I know that maybe some of the joiners and of course can't come to Berlin, but there will be a lot of live streaming from our side, so you can also get a great overview of the event outside of Berlin and Germany. But once again, the best contact point is always the website. We have so many different events, not only the sport and competitions, also, of course, really nice culture activities. We have the festival. So it's a really packed week in Berlin, an absolutely highlight. But please follow also our social media and so on. If you can't come to Berlin, there will be a lot of digital offers to join this great event, and also, of course, our athletes.
Awesome. And for those of you, we always want to encourage our listeners to get involved with their local Special Olympics program. Depending on wherever around the globe you're listening, specialolympics.org, you can find your local program to get involved. And we've got one final question. I know we're just about out of time, but I'd like to include these podcast conversations with. So let's go ahead and roll that bumper.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising. Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
different.
Difference. Our demands are
Equality.
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 dignity, dignity,
Dignity. And the recognition of our
shared humanity. We will not stop or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
More divided than ever. And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution is inclusion. Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
Ever since I attended the 2019 Special Olympics World Games in Abu Dhabi, I've been asking all of our guests one final question. And so I'll do the same with you. So, and as you mentioned through the course of the past hour, and as you know, inclusion and the inclusion revolution is a big message within our Special Olympics movement. And even inclusion is important here at Special Chronicles as well. My dad helps me out here as the business manager. And so I'll ask you the final question, and that is, what does inclusion mean to you?
Inclusion means that everyone can join, but there must be also the choice for people with disabilities, what they want. And so if we are talking about inclusion, it's a value. It's not only about people with disabilities, it's all together, it's unified, but it's also especially self-determination of people with disabilities. And that, of course, the daily life become in all areas inclusive, in schools, in the labor market, in the leisure time. And the choice has to be done by our athletes.
Awesome. Well, that's a perfect way to wrap up this episode. Hopefully, in Berlin, we'll get a chance to meet up in person, because that's always a lot of fun. And looking forward to joining you and the thousands of other athletes and the thousands and thousands that will be coming to Berlin this week, the 17th to the 25th of June. At the world's largest inclusive sports event. So thank you, Sven. Sorry, our guest, the CEO of the Berlin 2023 World Games. We'll be back next week talking all about easy language, as well as stay subscribed or keep following the Special Chronicles podcast, because in July we will be on the road from Berlin. We'll be recording a bunch of content in Berlin, so you can stay subscribed. We have 2 months, June and July, 2 months of content devoted just to the World Games right here on this podcast. So please keep following on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. New episodes drop weekly. Don't miss our original content that will help you make impactful and inclusive connections in your life through our podcast. Remember, specialchronicles.com. specialchronicles.com. You see it underneath my name if you're watching the video, or just look in the show notes. To stream archives of over 750 episodes absolutely for free, and to follow Special Chronicles on social media, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. And have a great week, and we'll see you next week right here on specialchronicles.com. And until then, remember, choose to include. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to this encore conversation with Sven Albrecht. His leadership and vision continue to shape the future of the Special Olympics movement across Europe, Eurasia, and around the world. with full show notes to stream more episodes on demand and to subscribe to the Special Chronicles podcast, visit specialchronicles.com. You can listen anytime, anywhere on your favorite podcast app. Until next time, I'm Daniel Smrokowski, reminding you to choose to include.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles Podcast. Our podcast was produced by Daniel Smrokowski on the Special Chronicles Network. Follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Subscribe, rate, and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream our archives of over 500 episodes absolutely for free. Also, there's a list of our favorites, original series, award-winning columns, and blogs. And sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com. Special Chronicles is hosted by Podbean Podcast Hosting. Our live streams are powered by StreamYard. Thanks, as always, to our business manager, Adam Smrokowski, who always encourages us to never give up. I'm Daniel Smrokowski, back next week with more stories.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.